used to think my entire worth was tied to one little word. Yes, I can help you move this weekend. Yes, I'll take on that extra project even though I'm completely swamped. Yes, I can lend you money again. For years, I genuinely believed this made me a good, kind person. But honestly, it was just making me miserable. Worse, it was turning me into a ghost in my own life. Does that feeling resonate? Because if you're nodding along, you need to know this isn't just being nice. It's a quiet epidemic, and it's time we talked about it. If you've ever felt that tight knot of dread in your stomach when someone asked for a favor, you know what I'm talking about. Or maybe you've laid awake at night, just fuming over something you reluctantly agreed to. This is the quiet epidemic of the people pleaser. We mistake this habit for kindness, but it's really a fast track to burnout and a deep simmering resentment that can poison our relationships. People pleasing isn't just about being nice. It's a pattern of sacrificing your own needs to get approval from others. And the cost is huge. It can lead to chronic stress, anxiety, and even depression, leaving you feeling totally drained. You end up putting your own health, your own goals, and your own sanity on the back burner because you're so busy taking care of everyone else. And the most painful part? The very people you're trying so hard to please often don't respect you more for it. In fact, they just start to take you for granted. Section 1. The yes trap and the misery of people pleasing. So why are we so terrified of that two-letter word? To understand the yes trap, we have to look at where it all begins. For the longest time, I was working under a huge misunderstanding. I thought saying yes was how you built connection. To be liked, to be valued, to be a good friend or partner, I had to be endlessly agreeable. This belief often starts in childhood, where we're praised for being helpful and obedient. We learn really early to connect being good with being compliant. But as adults, this turns into a dangerous cycle. It becomes a deep-seated fear of rejection. We say yes not because we want to, but because we're afraid. Afraid that saying no will make us look selfish, mean, or difficult. The crazy part is that a life built on reluctant yeses isn't even authentic. When you're constantly putting others first, you start to lose sight of who you even are. Your sense of self gets dangerously tangled up with what other people think of you. This just eats away at your self-esteem. The relationships that come from this are usually completely one-sided. You end up attracting people who are more than happy to take advantage of your go-with-the-flow nature, and your needs get ignored. Instead of building real respect, you're just building up resentment. Eventually, all that frustration starts to leak out as passive aggressiveness or sarcasm, damaging the very relationships you were trying so hard to protect. Section 2. My breaking point, I lived in that cycle of resentment for years, until a series of tiny moments pushed me to a breaking point that wasn't dramatic, but it was completely life-changing. My turning point wasn't some big dramatic movie scene. It was more like death by 1,000 paper cuts. It was all the tiny compromises that left me feeling completely hollowed out. I remember this one week where I'd said yes to 3 different friends who all needed a huge favor. I'd taken on a last-minute, unpaid project for a coworker, and I'd agreed to host a family dinner I had absolutely no time or energy for. By the end of the week, I was a wreck. I was sitting in my car, late for yet another thing I didn't want to do, and I just felt this wave of anger. But who could I even be mad at? Only myself. I'd become so obsessed with making everyone else happy that I had no idea what I wanted or needed anymore. The constant pressure had me feeling trapped in a life that didn't feel like my own. And right there at rock bottom, a thought hit me. This isn't working. Being the yes man hadn't brought me the respect or connection I was craving. It had just turned me into a very reliable doormat. It was a painful thing to admit, but that realization was the first step toward reclaiming that tiny, powerful word, and in doing so, reclaiming myself. Section 3. The surprising truth. Why no builds respect, and that's when I discovered the completely backward, counterintuitive secret to earning real respect. So, here's the completely backward truth I had to learn. Saying no doesn't make people dislike you. It makes them respect you. When you set healthy boundaries, you're sending a powerful, unspoken message. I value my time and my energy. This act of self-respect is the foundation for getting genuine respect from others. Think about it. Do you really respect someone who just agrees to everything? Someone who seems to have no personal limits or priorities? Or do you respect the person who is clear and honest about what they can and can't do? Setting boundaries is basically a declaration of self-worth. It shows that your resources are limited and that you deserve to protect them. People who are able to say no to things that clash with their own goals generally have higher self-worth and feel more in control of their lives. By communicating your limits, you're teaching people how to treat you. This leads to healthier relationships built on mutual respect, not obligation. Your self-esteem grows, and you feel empowered, and the people who don't respect your boundaries, they're showing you something important. They might not be the kind of people you want around anyway. Section 4. How to actually say no. A practical guide so we know why we should say no. But let's be honest, that's the easy part. How do you actually do it without feeling like a terrible person? I've got you covered. Okay, so understanding the why is one thing, but mastering the how is a whole different ballgame. Learning to say no, especially when you're out of practice, can feel super uncomfortable. You might feel a rush of guilt or anxiety. The trick is to start small and have a few phrases ready to go. First, be clear and direct. Don't say "I'll see" or "maybe," because that just opens the door for more pressure. A simple, polite no is usually enough. You don't owe anyone a long, complicated explanation. In fact, over-explaining can make you sound less confident. Here are a few simple scripts you can borrow. For a general request, you could say, "Thanks so much for thinking of me, but I won't be able to." If you're swamped, a simple "Unfortunately, my plate is full right now" works perfectly. For a social invite you can't make, try, "Thanks for the invitation. I can't make it this time, but I hope you have a great time." One of the best ways to deal with someone who won't take no for an answer is the broken record technique. Just calmly and firmly repeat your position. For example, "I understand this is important to you, but like I said, I'm at capacity and can't take on anything new." You don't have to get mad or defensive. Just be a broken record. Remember, saying no is a skill. It gets easier with practice. Start with low-stakes situations. Say no when the cashier asks if you want to sign up for a store credit card. Practice on small requests from people you trust. Every time you successfully set a boundary, you're building a muscle. Section 5. The unexpected perks of a life with boundaries. So what happens when you start saying no? I was expecting fallout and loneliness, but the reality of a life with boundaries was so much better than I ever imagined. When I first started saying no, I was terrified I'd ruin my relationships. I thought my friends would stop calling, and my coworkers would think I was difficult. The reality was the complete opposite. My connections didn't just survive. They got stronger and way more authentic. Now, when I do say yes, people know I truly mean it. My yes actually has value. The constant stress and resentment that used to be the soundtrack to my life started to fade away. I suddenly had more time and energy for the people and things that genuinely mattered to me. By setting boundaries, I was protecting my own well-being and preventing burnout. My self-esteem shot up because I was finally living in a way that felt true to me. I wasn't a victim of my own life anymore. I was the one in charge. The most surprising reward, though, was how other people started treating me. The requests didn't stop, but they changed. People started to respect my time. Colleagues would ask, "Do you have the capacity for this?" instead of just assuming I did. My relationships became a two-way street. By showing others that I respected myself, I taught them to do the same. And that's the ultimate lesson here. Boundaries aren't walls that push people away. They're guidelines that show people how to love and respect you better. You've heard the theory and the story. Now it's your turn to put this into practice and reclaim your life. If any of this journey from people pleaser to self-advocators hitting home for you, and if you're ready to find the power of no in your own life, then hit that subscribe button and join the community. For your first step, I want you to head down to the comments and tell me one small, low-stakes no you're going to practice saying this week. It's not about rejection, it's about respect. Before you go, I want to leave you with one final thought that completely reframes what it means to be a kind person. I spent years thinking that kindness meant being available 24/7, but I've learned that true kindness, both to myself and to others, demands honesty. It demands boundaries. Saying no isn't selfish. It's an act of self-preservation and deep self-respect. It's about honoring your own limits and making room for what truly matters in your life. It's about having the courage to say, this is who I am, and this is what I need. When you can do that, you don't just feel less stressed, you build deeper, more honest relationships, and earn a level of respect that 1,000 yeses could never buy. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it with someone who might find this video helpful. We would love you to join our weekly newsletter. The link is in the description below. Thanks for watching, and please join us in our next video by clicking above.